All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel, the main event here. So today we're going to be talking about some of the returning Pokemon that are be coming up in the upcoming DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I will go through the really kind of important ones. I'm not going to go through like every single one, because there's some that matter for VGC and some that don't. Like Flygon, for example, I'm not going to go over Flygon. But I'm going to go over some of the big ones, right? So I know you said Kingambit and Ursaluna on the screen. They're not returning Pokemon. Obviously, they're already in the game. But I'm going to be using the two of them as comparisons, as you can see, for Metagross and Snorlax. So before we start, question of the day: which returning Pokemon are you most excited for? For me, it's definitely Metagross, because that's like my favorite out of all the ones that are coming back, except for like Gliscor maybe. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So first things first, Metagross is coming back. This is going to be a really big like Pokemon that's going to be returning. Another Steel type, physical Steel type, with an anti-intimidate ability, just like in Gambit, which has Defiant. Stat to stat, they're very similar. So their attack stats are the same. The defense stat is actually a little bit higher on Metagross. Special defense is also 5 points higher, which is nice. Does have less HP, which matters a little bit, but with the additional bulk, probably doesn't matter too much. So they're probably around equally bulky, more or less. The attack stats are the same. The one major difference is that Metagross has more speed. Typically 70 is not a speed tier you want to hit, but Metagross being like a base 70 speed Pokemon, like if we drop it to 50 and we give it like a Jolly Nature, right? What it does is it gives Metagross more versatility. So typically with something like a Kingambit, most people run like Adamant max attack or something close to max attack, and then a lot of bulk, maybe a little bit of speed to outspeed other base 50 stuff. With Metagross, you can do the same thing, right? You can give it max attack, max HP, or just maximum bulk, or you can go more speedy with like a Jolly Nature. You can get up to something like 134, outspeed some of those lower speed Pokemon. Get it under Tailwind. It has Agility, which raises its own speed by 2, so it has like a self Tailwind mode. So it gives it more options, right? And then like Kingambit has priority, but like so does Metagross, has Bullet Punch. It also gets better coverage because it gets like Thunder Punch and Ice Punch, which hit like grass and flying types for super effective. And also gets like some other like tech like Explosion, for example. So it gets like I said, it gets Agility. Also gets like Ally Switch. I'm pretty sure it still gets it. I'm not sure if they took it from there, but it has like just options, right? That Kingambit does not have. And then sometimes the Psychic typing is what like held it back. Oh yeah, I guess like Iron Defense as well. Hone Claws. Oh no, that's not Hone Claws. So it raises the attack and accuracy by 1, which is like not as good as Swords Dance, which it also does not get. But it gets what's that Steel type move? I forget the name of it. Meteor Smash. Ooh. Yeah, Meteor Mash. Which is like 90-90, which is like not ideal because it's 90 you can miss, but it is 10 base power higher and it has a chance to raise your attack. So like if you get a Hone's Claws off and you go +1, then you like Meteor Mash and then you get another +1 and you're already like not gonna miss any of these because you have the accuracy boost. Now you're in business, right? Like I said, you have this, you have the Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, you have Bullet Punch, you have Iron Defense. I don't think Kingambit gets Iron Defense. It does get Iron Defense. Okay, that's pretty good. But yeah, so they're similar Pokemon, but it just has a little bit more versatility than Kingambit. You can decide which one is better. This Steel type is not weak to fighting, whereas like Kingambit's 4 times weak. This one is weak to Ghost though, which in Dark, where Kingambit is not weak to those things. It resists those. So it depends on kind of what your team needs. But like having basically a second Kingambit in the format, I think like it matters. So I think Metagross is going to be good when it does come out. Next up, we have Snorlax. Snorlax is a really good Pokemon. Really good. It's won multiple world championships, I believe. It's really good. It wasn't as great in Generation 8 because of Dynamax being able to kind of blow through its bulk pause. But it was still good in Dynamax, right? It just wasn't like as good as it was outside of Max. It's very similar to Ursaluna, where it's like a normal type Pokemon. Where it excels over Ursaluna though is that one, it's just the base normal typing, so you don't have to really deal with the weaknesses that come with ground. Even though ground is a great offensive typing, ground is not a great defensive typing necessarily. And also its bulk is very specially bulky and it's very high HP. It has more HP and more special defense than Ursaluna does. It has a lot less physical defense, but the difference with that is if you have to like choose, you typically want to be more specially bulky because there's so many ways to mitigate your defenses. So like you can intimidate and you can burn, right? Essentially, that's what saves Snorlax from this 65 defense stat. You can intimidate opponents, you can burn them. Ursaluna doesn't. You can like snarl or like get screens up, but like those are not as typically reliable as some of the offensive mitigation, because offense gets intimidate, burn, and reflect. So there's just a lot more ways to shore up your physical defense than there is your special defense. So that's kind of an advantage it has. Also, it's like slower. So like if you want to have a more surefire Trick Room Sweeper, it's slower than Ursaluna. Obviously, Ursaluna gets guts, so it's like attack stat is, which is already 30 points higher, is like way higher if you get the burn off. But again, Snorlax gets like really good stuff. Snorlax's abilities are different, so it has like thick fat, so it takes less damage from fire and ice moves. Has gluttony, so it eats the berries at half HP, I want to say. Yep, it eats the berry at half HP, so you can get like just like an guava berry or something, and just eat that berry instead of waiting till you get like pinch berry range. You can eat it at half. I believe it gets recycled. Yep, it restores the last item used, so you can get your berry back. Typically, people do like belly drum stuff, so it's gonna be a really great Pokemon. I do wonder, like, it might compete for spots with Ursaluna on your team, because I doubt you'll run both. You don't want to have like that double big fighting week, especially both slow ones. So people will decide which one they want to use. It just kind of depends on if you like headlong rush or not. I think Snorlax gets like high horsepower. Yeah, so it gets like a ground type move, just not as good as a ground type move. Whimsicott is a really big one, because it is the fastest Tailwind user to date. Fastest prankster Tailwind user to date. Which is kind of the big thing, right? It's just that it's fast Tailwind. It's faster than Tornadus, faster than, which is the current fastest Tailwinder. It's way better than Murkrow. It gets taunt, so it's already like has an advantage over the genies because it's faster and can taunt them. So yeah, that's kind of its niche, is that it's like the best Tailwind setup ever. Then it gets like safeguards, so you can protect your party from statuses with what you call it, with priority as well. And then with like the new Covert Cloak item, there's not really anything that you can do to stop Whimsicott from getting his move up, because even like priority moves like Bullet Punch are going to be slower because Whimsicott's too fast. And then like Dragonite can E-speed it or something, but like look at its like stats, right? It's like 60 HP is not high, and 85 defense is not bad. You can like invest a lot of bulk on this thing to make sure it survives that. So you can guarantee get off like your Tailwind, and then even if it does die, like that's fine, right? You get off a Tailwind and it goes down, and you bring in your Sweeper. So I think Whimsicott's going to be like an incredible addition to the game. Let's go through some of its like status moves. So like it also gets like Encore. Does it get Disable? It doesn't get Disable. It doesn't get Encore. It gets Cotton Guard, which also raises its defense, which is actually kind of insane. It does get both screens if that's, you know, your cup of tea. Oh, it gets Light Screen. Why doesn't it get Reflect? That's so dumb. But it gets the screens. It gets like switcheroos for item switching. So it has a lot of stuff. And like I said, it's just a really fast prankster user. Sometimes prankster users can be held back by their speed, like, you know, Murkrow or Grimmsnarl, because they can still get outsped by like other priority. Whimsicott's not getting outsped by any priority with a 116 stat. The weather foxes are going to be back. Ninetales is going to be good because it'll be the fastest, most immediate offense like Sunny Day user that we have, or drought user. You're even using Torkoal, and Torkoal is good. It's great actually, but it's just slow and it takes time to go in, or it needs Trick Room. Base 100 means you can kind of get things going more quickly. 81 is not a fantastic special attack stat, but like in sun with like sun boosted heat waves and like Terra Fire or like Charcoal or something, it'll be solid. But again, it's just a more like, I guess, offensive Sunsetter. But the really important one is this one, because it's Snow Warning and it's an Ice Fairy type. So Alola Ninetales has always been solid, right? But it's been held back by its bulk a little bit. Its special defense is really good. Its defense is 75, its HP 73, so it's not like super bulky in the physical side. But with the buff to Ice types, this defense stat gets a 1.5 times boost. So now it's actually really bulky. Where's my little calculator or my phone or something? Ugh. By the time I found this phone on the floor, I could have just did the math in my head, but we've come too far to quit now. Oh, so yeah, now it's like a base 112 defense, right? And that makes a lot of difference because it's base 109, so it's outspeeding all the base 100s, which there are a lot of right now. It's like over 100 in the defense stat because of snow, and 73 you can invest in the HP, right? And then it gets Aurora Veil, and it already sets up the snow. Like right now, what you have to do to set up Aurora Veil is either use your Obama Snow and click Aurora Veil with that, and Obama Snow is very slow, so you might get knocked out before you do that, and you have to pop Terra most of the time in order to get it off, depending on what the opponent leads. Or you can set up snow with that and then use Iron Bundle to set up your Veil, but then you're wasting a turn of your bundle. With Ninetales, you have a speedy setter, so you can get that Aurora Veil up fast, and then also you can use like your other snow Pokemon to do something else in the meantime. And then like the special attack is only like 81, but like you still get access to something like Blizzard, which is like really strong, and it gets Freeze Dry as well. So like you have another reliable Freeze Dry user to hit those water types. So I think this thing is going to be really, really good for the snow users. I think it's going to be better than it's like ever been, actually, just mostly because of that defense buff. Another potential Covert Cloak user as well, so you can't fake it out. It does like to use Sash, but it might not need Sash. It might not need Sash with the additional bulk it gets from snow, and then with the Aurora Veil, it'll be even bulkier. Ice is weak to like, you know, fire and fighting, but you have the fairy type to mitigate the fighting weakness. Now, now it's just neutral, which is really, really good. You're weak to rock, but most rock type Pokemon are slower, so you can kind of like hit them first at least. So it's not that big of a deal. Next up is Melodic. So Melodic is good for a couple of reasons. One, very bulky, right? 125 special defense, 95 HP, decent defense, 79. But you can, like we mentioned with Snorlax, you can mitigate that with Intimidate, Burns, and Screens. It has Marvel Scale, so you can if this Pokemon has a non-volatile status, condition defense by 1.5. But the real ability is competitive, because now if it gets its stat dropped, it gets a special attack boost. And it's base 100, right? It's not like jumping off the screen, but that's still pretty good. And it gets like good water moves like Muddy Water, and potentially it might be getting Scald. We don't know if that's confirmed or not. We do know that in the trailer it was using a move that appears to be Scald. It could just be an animation choice by the game, and they could probably not be bringing it back, just because it would be a bit weird to take it away from every Pokemon and then bring it back and then give it back to every Pokemon, or like make it a move tutor so you can just teach it to all of them. That's kind of taking the airplane to get across the street, in my opinion, but we'll see. But also gets like Coil Hypnosis, which is a thing. Melodic is just hard to get off the field, which is his biggest thing, right? And then Coil raises your defense and your accuracy. It's already specially bulky. You can mitigate his defense. Then you get up a Coil. I think if you get up like 2 Coils, you can just like spam Hypnosis and never miss. Give it like a Citrus Berry so you can get your health back, or like leftovers. And just keep it on the field. And then like just spam like Scald, Fish for a burn potentially. And then like Melodic is all of a sudden just on the field, never going away. So this thing is going to be really good, especially because we're kind of lacking offensive water types for the most part. Like Iron Bundle is unreliable with Hydro Pump. We do have Palafin, which is one of the greatest water types of all time, but it also takes a turn to set up, which is not that big of a deal, right? But it's still a turn. Gyarados is mostly supportive right now. Melodic, like I said, can be a little bit passive depending on how you run it, but you could also kind of just like Terra Water, just hit the go button and just go for it with the damage. So well, it'll be interesting to see how that develops going forward. Uniclus has on the fence a bit about, depending on whether or not it'll be really good or not. But I did think that it would be really good because of the abilities it gets. So it gets Overcoat and Magic Guard, right? And Regenerator. So Overcoat makes it immune to powders, and like so Spore, Effect Spore, stuff like that. It's like speed 30, so it's a good Trick Room Pokemon. It's basically immune to Amoonguss, and it hits Amoonguss for super effective back. So I think there's always gonna be a role for Pokemon like that. If you don't run Overcoat, you have Magic Guard. So like if you're losing to a lot of Toxic Stall teams, you won't be damaged by like, you know, I think you're actually, I need to look at, I don't want to give bad information, but you can only be damaged by direct attacks. Makes me feel like you can't be like damaged by poison and stuff like that, like poison, recoil, etc. So I'm gonna fact check that just to make sure. And then Regenerator, whenever you switch out, you get health back, which is good, right? Because on the last turn of Trick Room, maybe you switch it out, get some health back, try to set Trick Room up again with something else, and see how it goes. And then like I don't know if it's gonna have this in the game, but in previous game it's had Expanding Force. So if it keeps Expanding Force, you have another Expanding Force size spammer. which can also then like Terra to mitigate the Psychic's weaknesses. So I think that's going to be very, very interesting to see at least. And I'm going to talk about I guess Glasgow a little bit. I don't know how much it matters in VGC that much because Landorus is already a thing and it has the same typing. And Landorus kind of has like better stats. So we'll see. But I like Glasgow a lot, so I'm going to talk about a little bit. Hypercutter prevents basically anti-intimidate. Sand Veil is actually really fun because it raises its own evasion by 1.25 times. So, and it also doesn't take any sand damage, which is good. And it has poison heal as well, which I think might actually have a niche because not only is like Glamora a thing, like Toxic, Spikes, Toxic, all that stuff, but the 3 DLC Pokemon, Monkey, Dogi, Okidori, and Okidoggy, something like that, all have an ability that cause badly poisoning. So this might actually be a way around that poison heal. Same for like Reunicus and Magic Guard. So they might have a niche there. So we'll see. Stats are okay at best. But you know, I like it. It's one of my favorite ground types. So hopefully they buff it and give it some better moves. If they can give it Headlong Rush, I think it'll be really good. Because that single target 120 base power ground type move is something that it needs so it can do more damage. Because the defenses are already not great as it stands. So you can give it like an Assault Vest or something, and then Headlong Rush and then give it the rest in bulk. 95 speed is not terrible. So we'll see. Anyway, don't forget that question today for me. Which returning Pokemon are you most excited for? For me, it's Metagross and Glasgow because it's one of my favorites. Let me know down below what you guys think. Which Pokemon of these do you think will be the best, had the biggest impact on the game? Otherwise, I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for already being subscribed. Thank you guys for have already clicked the like. Thank you guys for having notifications on so you don't miss any of the videos. And I see you guys in the next one.